Elijah plunks down under the tree and feels all used up. This image is not a bad one for the exhaustion that many people are experiencing 18 months into our prevailing pandemic. The Lord feeds Elijah's hunger, and strengthened, he commences a journey that lasted for 40 days and nights until he arrived at the mountain in Horeb. David Matthew is from South Yorkshire, and this year he is celebrating his 60th birthday. David is a Samaritan volunteer, and to raise awareness of the charity's vital work, he is visiting 201 Samaritan branches in the UK and Ireland. This pursuit is being achieved through a trek that will clock up 9,000 kilometres, including 1,300 kilometres in Ireland. As David walks, he pulls a 30 kg trailer with his supplies. COVID-19 is like a withering walk. Tiredness and tetchiness, errors and misjudgments start to creep in. Relationships become fractured. Comparisons fuel complaints. A thundering row breaks out between church and state about sacraments. Pope Francis likes to talk about sacraments. He argues that everything is a sacrament, beginning with creation itself. The sacraments are not only 7 signs of God's special presence at significant times of our lives. They are that profound guarantee that God's grace is hidden in every moment, event, experience of our lives, indeed of all that is created. The first step towards a deeper understanding of sacraments is to see them in the context of a world already permeated and filled with God's presence. The 7 sacraments is in a specially focused way keep reminding us of this revelation. For example, in the Eucharist, the utter harmonizing of God in flesh, bread and wine, sounds shocking to many. No other religion teaches anything like it. God comes to feed us, people of the flesh, primarily in the earthly and uniquely intimacy of food. And we do not just look at it, we touch, taste, eat and drink it. This is because the Mass is incarnation in miniature. Divine love takes the intimate shape of our essential, sensual, raw selves. When we sit at the table of truth, love and beauty, immediately after receiving Holy Communion, we hear the vital whisper of assurance. I am now the living food of your flesh. I am the vibrant wine of your energy, the power within you. In me, you are made complete, and you are invincible even in your darkest winter. The Gospels tell the story that God is the freely offered food for all, without exception. All we have to provide is the hunger. Richard Rohr writes that we use the Eucharist to separate who's in from who's out, who's worthy from who's unworthy, instead of to declare that all of us are radically unworthy and that worthiness is not even the issue. The real issue is surrender and hunger. and more often sinners are hungrier than saints. God's extraordinary desire for us is not dimmed or faded during these pandemic times. It is in the ordinariness, accessibility, and saving blessing of bread that God's ravishing love incarnate is experienced and celebrated. John's Gospel is quite powerful in making the case that in the Eucharist we are being offered a great gift. Karl Rahner provocatively argues that if we do not recognize the face of Christ in every face, if we do not identify every event, every experience of God's home, if we are not interested in our world as God's incarnate and evolving body, then there's little point in going to Mass on Sunday. We live at a most complex time. On the one hand, we understand that in the Eucharist, God comes to feed us through the intimacy of food. And we do not just look at it, we touch, taste, eat, and drink it. On the other hand, in the midst of a pandemic, attending Mass carries and potentially spreads risk. We don't attend Mass precisely because we see the face of the risen Christ in every face. I think St. Augustine can help us through this paradox. Profoundly, he declares, Christ is the bread awaiting hunger. In these difficult times, let's remember that the whole world is a sacrament of communion. The human body is a sacrament of invisible beauty. Let us cherish each of our 7 sacraments. As we wait, we ripen our hunger. Amen.